My name is Jake, and this is Tandem Cross. The Ruger 1022 is a classic firearm, and it's one that everyone should have in their collection. Ruger ships the 1022 with a bolt release plate that requires a two-handed operation to release the bolt. When the bolt is locked back, you have to reach underneath and activate this lever in order to release the bolt. If you have a Ruger 1022, most likely you've experienced this frustrating operation. The Guardian 1022 bolt release plate by TANDEMKROSS eliminates this problem and allows the bolt to be released with one hand. This makes shooting the Ruger 1022 a lot more enjoyable. This is a must-have upgrade for any Ruger 1022 owner. I'm going to go through and install it and come back and show you the improvement. Here's how the Ruger 1022 will work with the TANDEMKROSS Guardian bolt plate installed. You can easily lock the bolt back as you could before, but you can activate it and release it with one hand now. This makes the Ruger 1022 a lot easier to use, and it's an absolute must if you're doing any shooting competitions. Now let's go through and do a full installation. The first thing that you need to do when you install the Guardian bolt plate is you need to take your 1022 out of your stock. There are too many stocks on the market for us to go through and show you an example of how to remove the gun from the stock, but the majority of them will have a simple takedown bolt here in the bottom, and in some cases you may have to take off a top rail like I do in this one. I'm going to go ahead and take this down and out of the stock, and then we'll start there. One of the classic tips for removing the Ruger 1022 from any stock is to make sure that you put the safety halfway between on and off. This way it won't mar up the side of your stock and it can drop through easily. You're going to also want to remember this tip when you're reinstalling into your stock. Once you've removed the barrel, receiver, and trigger assembly from your stock, you're going to locate two pins in the frame. You need to push these two pins from left to right, and they can remain in the frame. Once they've cleared the trigger assembly will drop right out of here. You want to push these pins out from left to right using a hammer and a punch, and you can leave them captured in the frame. Once you push them far enough, the trigger assembly will lift right out. Taking a closer look at the trigger assembly, there are two pins that we're going to be working with. This top pin here and this bottom pin here. You want to take a 7/32 or smaller punch and move the top pin that holds your ejector and this top spring leg in place. You want to move this from left to right. Now what I like to do is stop and remove the ejector, and remember that orientation, and then you can see I've got this spring captured by the pin still. Once I push it past that spring will let go. It's not under a lot of pressure, but that spring is what activates the bolt release plate. Now that we've removed the ejector and the top pin, we're going to move the bottom pin, which holds your magazine lever, just a little bit. This just needs to move past the bolt release plate. You can look down inside and see as it clears the bolt release plate just how little it has to move. Now your old bolt release plate will lift right out of there, and you can replace it with the TANDEMKROSS one. Here's a proper orientation. The leg with the notch is going to go toward the right, and you can see the small oval opening is toward the front. Install so the small oval opening is in line with the lower pin, and push the pin through. Now, rotate the spring down so that the lower leg catches on the arm, and install the upper pin. And install the upper leg under the pin as you install it. So you can see here the upper leg is caught under that pin. Remember to install your ejector. Now that you've installed the TANDEMKROSS Guardian bolt release plate, you can test the activation. You should be able to see a portion of the bolt release plate rise up when you activate the lever on the bottom. And this allows the bolt to hold open, but when you pull it back, it will automatically snap down. My name is Jake, and this is TANDEMKROSS.